podcast. I am your host, Keith Rao, and this is episode 9, Shocking Revelations. We're going to get into some serious conspiracies this week, but remember, go out and pick up a copy of the Democratic Asylum, a Political Manifesto on Amazon. It's available for $6.99 in paperback, plus shipping, or you can also get yourself a copy in ebook Kindle form for $4.99, or if you have a Kindle Unlimited account, that is free. So we're going to get into something this week that we haven't really talked about before. The conspiracies around Jeffrey Epstein, accused pedophiles, untimely death while in federal prison custody. I say alleged because as the autopsy came out this week, and it said he had some broken bones in his neck, and it's quite common for that to happen during strangulation, although they have revealed that it is sometimes possible as well during a hanging, which is how they claim he has died in his cell. There's a lot of investigation going on around that by the feds and the prison bureau and whoever else is on the case. But the fact that 56 people affiliated with the Clintons have committed suicide allegedly, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, nobody knows 56 people that have committed suicide. Most people probably don't know 56 people that actually OD'd on drugs. I mean, that's a drastically high number. I mean, if it was 5 or 6 or 10, maybe I might believe it, because, people with the same mental health conditions tend to be friends, and society is straining on us, and we do have a mental health crisis in America. So, and then I guess they found this painting on Epstein's Island or in his mansion or somewhere. It was old Billy Clinton wearing a blue dress. So apparently Bill Clinton was a transvestite, or before the big transgender movement that's going on right now. I mean, I'm not really going to get into that controversy, but if you've seen this picture, you're never going to unsee it. You might have nightmares about it, be traumatized for life. Sure, you really don't want to see it, but if you probably have by now, I'm sure. And if you haven't, just go to the Trumped Up podcast group on Facebook, and you will see it. And you will not unsee it. But we'll leave it at that. It's even worse than the things they're saying about Michelle Obama being a transgender, but this is an actual painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, which is ironic because of the Monica Lewinsky blue dress incident. But yeah, old Bill Clinton also said that he had nothing to do with what was going on Epstein's Lolita Express plane and on the Lolita Island, or whatever they want to call that island. I don't know, Sicko Island. But records show that 22 or 26 times he actually went there, and many times without Secret Service. So I'm sure if this guy didn't die, which I don't know how he should have been under 24-hour protective custody, but apparently the government didn't want a lot getting out on. Supposedly there's a lot of people tied up in that whole thing between Hollywood, really high-ranking political figures and whatever. So next, let's get into Biden's blunders. This guy is just the walking gaffe. I mean, you could just go Google or YouTube Biden's blunders, and you can see some of the dumb things he said, like white kids or poor kids are just as smart as white kids, and no white kids are poor or something. I don't know. And then he fumbled and tried to cover this up. But I mean, they got to keep this guy on limited speaking, because every time he goes out there in public, he tends to do this and says some off-the-wall thing, and makes me wonder, if he's still all there. I mean, he is up there in age, so he's definitely not on top of his game, and he's been in politics since we landed on the moon, as I spoke about before. But really, how he's the front runner is beyond me, except for this just shows you who's in the votes Democrat in this country. Apparently, they are not people that go out and seek the facts or whatever. I don't know, but I could never vote for the guy. He's just... And then it wouldn't shock me if he went to Epstein's Island with some of the things he's done on camera, sniffing little girls' hairs and all, hugging old ladies and kissing other people's wives. And I mean, yeah, he's got a touchy-feely problem, we'll put it that way anyway. So, but yeah, I guess tonight in New Hampshire we got another Trump rally. I'm sure that's going to be jam-packed with 10,000 people and more thousands of people outside. But he's holding a dueling rally, as Joe Biden's also going to be in New Hampshire. He might get tens of hundreds of people. It's going to be interesting to see how many people are at the Trump rally as opposed to how many people are at the Biden rally, which I'm sure that number, it's just going to be ridiculous. The only way I could break that down in everyday people terms would be if you go to a NASCAR race and the amount of Kyle Busch or Jimmy Johnson fans as opposed to a guy like David Reagan who's retiring and really only has like 1 or 2 wins in NASCAR ever, and he doesn't have the fan following. So here, these people have tons of fans and these people have like none. So I mean, and then Trump over there, he's leading. I guess did a poll in New Hampshire, North Carolina, and it shows that Trump is beating every Democrat in that state, which is not shocking to me. Might be shocking to the Democrats. So in our next shocking revelation, CNN reporters this week, they're having a bad week over there. First you got Don Lemon's being sued for sexually assaulting somebody. That's not shocking, and the stuff they said he did wasn't pleasant sounding at all, and if he did that, man, he needs to go. Then you just had April Ryan. She was doing a speech, she's always bad-mouthing Trump and what he says and his actions, but then and how he's trying to silence the press, but she is the press, and there was another press guy there, and she tried to silence the press, so that totally just makes her one big hypocrite. And then I guess the way they handled it, they tried to take the guy's camera. They almost got violent with him. It was just totally inappropriate. There's a better way to deal with things. I mean, if these people are giving speeches and they don't think that what they do or say is going to get out to the public in this day and age, they're just ridiculous. There's a camera everywhere. Even if you don't see the camera, somebody got a hidden camera on them, doing investigative journalists like Project Veritas and James O'Keefe over there does, like with the Google people and the stuff that just came out on that with their bias, and they're trying to rig the election. So that's the funny part with that too. You got the Democrats all freaked out about Russian collusion, but they're all fine with American interference in our elections. And then you got Andrew Cuomo, New York governor's brother. I forget what his name is, but some guy actually called him Fredo, and he went off the rails, and he almost assaulted the guy that called him a name. I guess it's insulting. Fredo is insulting to Italian Americans because of the Godfather movie. You can go look up why that is, because, I'll give you the breakdown. Fredo was the younger brother of Michael Corleone, and he was the failure of the family. So that's how Fredo became insulting to Italian Americans. But, anybody in the public eye, just let it go. I mean, it's just words. They really can't hurt you. Big deal, he called you a stupid name. I mean, even Trump got on that one, like, ha ha ha, look what they called him this. I agree. Because his brother, the governor, is much more successful than them, so he must have hit a sore spot with the guy, I guess, to put it mildly. But he went off the rails. It's almost like, we've seen some Instagram videos of him this week in the gym, like working out like erratically. So maybe the guy does a lot of steroids and he's having some roid rage. Maybe CNN needs to go on drug test him because his behavior's not right, or maybe he's having a breakdown. I don't know. Maybe he needs to get some therapy. But his actions definitely weren't appropriate for somebody in the public eye. Not at all. It should never happen this way. You got to conduct yourself in a better manner. You just can't go off the rails. It's just not acceptable. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back after a message from our sponsor. Hey, you too can join the podcasting world and be one of the greatest podcasters out there. Build an audience, get sponsorships, earn money, and do many, many interesting things. You can also get listener support to help sponsor your show, all by using Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to become a podcaster. Anyone can do it. If you got something to say, or someone thinks you got something to say, or you just want to say something, come and join Anchor and join the podcasting revolution. Okay, welcome back to the Trumped Up Podcast. I am your host, Keith Rao. This is episode 9, Shocking Revelations. Sorry, not revolutions. That's something else altogether, but hey, it's all good. Sometimes we misspeak. But this week, the Trump administration announced they're reducing visas and green cards for people who are likely to rely on government benefits. Such Social Security, food stamps, welfare, which I don't know why anybody has a problem with this, but to CNN, this is shocking. And oh my God, they're gonna stop people's benefits, and they're not gonna let people in, and this might affect people that are already living here, and same old recycled crap they always use to shock people. But really, this should have been a policy already. I mean, we want the best of the world coming here. Doctors, lawyers, students, people are going to contribute, and being able to rely on yourself would be a big part of that. I mean, back in the day when our grandparents came here and our great-grandparents, they got off the boat, and yeah, they couldn't speak English, but they had skills like carpenters, and they built this country. And they were like carpenters, iron workers. They could put things together, they could fix things, they could do things, and they could contribute to the country. So why do we want people to come here and they're just going to live off the government and probably never do anything with their life? I mean, yeah, some of them will go and pick fruit or whatever jobs that they're more likely to get, or be dishwashers or housekeepers, but also, speaking English, I believe, is part of this rule, or being willing to learn English, which there's a lot of people in this country that just don't speak English, and I don't get it. I mean, you can go get Rosetta Stone. There's a race car driver by the name of Daniel Suarez in NASCAR, and he speaks somewhat decent English. And the way he learned English was actually watching SpongeBob SquarePants and other cartoons, ironically. Probably SpongeBob wasn't the best choice of a cartoon to learn English. Sesame Street probably would have worked out better, but he actually speaks English, and he can communicate with his American counterparts, and it just works out better because, say you don't speak English and the police stop you, and you're in an area where they don't have Latino or Hispanic police officers or bilingual police officers, that's going to cause a communication barrier between the police and the immigrant that's here that doesn't speak English. So this whole rule is just good. It's going to help our economy by not being such a draw on the system. And then we got into in the last episode where a lot of this money that they're getting from these programs are sending back to their countries tax-free, so that'll cut down on that as well. And then we had those 2 weeks ago, the massacres in Dayton and El Paso, where a couple crazy gunmen, one of each political aspect. I mean, one was had views similar to some of Donald Trump's policies, and one had views and supported Elizabeth Warren and was a total leftist and Antifa, I like to call them, just a terrorist organization, but yeah, they subscribe to those kind of views. So But I don't think either of these shootings really had anything to do with their political stance. They were just a couple of deranged people that went out and committed a crime. The sad fact is, more people are shot in inner cities every week than happens in these massacres, but it's shocking because it all happens at once. And maybe it doesn't fit the narrative of the media to cover these, because, Fox was on it a little bit this week and last week about the shootings in inner cities, and it's just not a safe place. Kids can't play on playgrounds. You gotta dodge bullets while you're walking to school, and it's just not good for the community. But a lot of these places are actually run by Democrats, and they've been given billions of dollars to fix up these places, and they haven't done it yet. And nobody knows where the money really went to. Like, we'll take Elijah Cummings' district with the money that they've been given billions in just the last few years, and it probably went to the Harbor District or something in tourist areas and fixed up the nice parts of towns. Why there's rats running around on the streets and dilapidated buildings that should be torn down. But yeah, businesses aren't going to want to go build in these neighborhoods because it's just not acceptable to run a business in a place where there's so much violence and danger, and the drug epidemic is fueling this, which leads to the cartels are probably behind this as well. But the media jumps straight to the antenna to politics, calling Trump a white supremacist, a racist. He's the one responsible for this, although when Steve Scalise got shot on a congressional baseball field and it was a Bernie Sanders supporter, nobody was blaming Bernie Sanders for the crazy guy going out and shooting the congressman. It was just a crazy guy. He just went off the rails, and he just took it to an extreme that nobody should ever take it to. Violence in any form, really, in this day and age is just unacceptable. And not just gun violence, violence in general. You watch Live PD and there's like nonstop domestic disputes and assaults and bar brawls and craziness, and everybody's got to calm down in America. Seriously, let's come back together instead of, we can be divided politically, we can have differences, but we got to find common ground too, and we got to love our neighbors still, because we have to live near these people, and we just need to start letting things go more. But yeah, they were super on. And then after the identity politics came, gun control, gun control, gun control. The sad part of that is there was this the shooting of 6 police officers in Philadelphia last night during a routine drug raid. And the guy just started shooting up everybody. I guess he had a handgun, an AR-15, but he was a known drug dealer, and they were doing a raid, which just went totally bad. But a couple politicians went straight on CNN, and they were calling for gun control ever before they even knew the facts, because chances are a guy who's a known drug dealer didn't follow the law when he bought this gun in the first place, because he probably bought it off of some other guy on the street. But nope, they had to call for gun control, and places like Chicago have the strictest gun laws in the country, and there's shootings there every day, every weekend, and gun control isn't working. So we have to figure out what can we do to make it better. But back to the fact that these deranged people are doing these shootings for political reasons or whatever off-the-wall reasons they have. But we also have to take a step back with that, because we can't stigmatize people who are suffering mental health problems. Because the reality of that is, chances are people with mental health problems are highly more likely to be a victim of a violent crime than ever commit one. Some people have agoraphobia, where you have fears of open spaces, maybe bridges, you have a fear of people. So chances are this person is going to stay in their house and mind their own business and just talk to people on the internet and not really have a lot of public interaction. But when they do, and they go out to the store and then something bad happens, then it'll make their mental health condition worse. But they're not going to go out and attack somebody. They might get loud because that's how people react sometimes when they have mental health problems. A lot of times when people do get loud and obnoxious, and they're either having an anxiety attack or it's a defense mechanism. Oh, you're coming at me, so I'm going to get loud, so I scare you, and then you're going to go away and leave me alone. But the sad part of that is other people are just so bonkers that they're going to keep coming at them, and then something bad's going to happen. But yeah, we can't. Although some of these people that commit these mass shootings without thought about it or the thought of the consequences, they're really deranged. They're beyond somebody with a mental health problem. They have, like, to the extremist of extremes when it comes to mental health problems. I mean, somebody could have anxiety, agoraphobia, panic attacks, and autism and be totally fine. They just can't deal with loud noises or overwhelming sense or extreme heat because of the sensory overload. Not like those people in that socialist conference in California, because those people are actually making a mockery of people with autism, and it's really offensive in a way, and I don't find it. I mean, people are making jokes about this, but to those people, because they're not experiencing the problems that people with actual legitimate health problems, mental health, have, they're just, you're triggering me kind of mental health well, not mental, just, yeah, they need their safe space, whatever. So, yeah, but yeah, these Congress people were on CNN last night, before this thing was even over, before they ever knew any details of why this guy was shooting or if he got a gun legally or illegally. They're calling for gun control again just because it's an AR-15, but let me tell you the reality of an AR-15. An AR-15 looks like a high-powered machine gun. It's not. It only shoots as fast as the trigger. If you had two pistols in your hand, you can shoot just as fast as the AR-15 and 2 bullets at a time, actually. So you can actually fire faster with 2 pistols, and it's pretty easy to change a clip of 9 bullets, because even if you don't, so that's 18 shots and 18 shots and 18 shots, as opposed to the AR-15. But there's also guns that don't look like an AR-15 that are hunting rifles, and they shoot the same way the AR-15 does, and it just looks like a hunting rifle. So these assault rifles, no, it's a rifle that somebody used to assault people. It's different. It's not a machine gun. The only people who have machine guns in this day and age are the military and some police forces. And with what happened in Philadelphia, the media's narrative of, oh my God, we can't militarize our police force. They're not. They're protecting the police for when something like this happens so they can protect themselves and the people around them. And then when this is going on, you got these stupid people are outside taunting the police and throwing things at them, just like the water incident in New York. I mean, you'd think they'd want to live in a safe community or something, but no, they act like animals that were let out of the zoo. And like they just go bonkers because they're finally out of their cage. Not that I'm saying anything offensive in that aspect. I'm not talking about your race, just the actions you're taking are inappropriate and it needs to stop. But hey, that takes us back to CNN and MSNBC, back to the whole the police are racist and narrative that they were spreading in the bad. And now you got ICE facilities getting attacked, and now you got people throwing water at police officers, and the police aren't out to get you. You know, I watch Live PD, and 90% of the people pulled over, they actually were doing something wrong. Yes, 90%. And the 10% that weren't, they send them on their merry way. And even sometimes when, hey, they had no driver's license or their license was suspended or had no insurance, they let them go on their merry way. Hey, leave your car here. You can't drive it. You don't have a license or insurance. Call for a ride, take the bus, start walking. But we're going to let you go. We're not going to arrest you for this. It's not a thing we want to arrest people for. We just want you to figure it out. But then you get the person like 6 weeks later. Here they are again. And then that's when they go to jail because you had your break and you didn't take your break. But really, the police aren't out to get people. They just want to protect people. So that whole narrative just has to end. Well, this has been a jam-packed episode this week. Remember, you can follow us on Tumblr. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on YouTube. We souped up our page over there. I even put a couple funny videos over there. You got to go over there and laugh at those because they're hilarious. Please subscribe to that. You can go over and like our Facebook page, the Trumped Up Podcast Facebook page. From there, you can also join the Trumped Up Podcast group where you can be free to be yourself. It'd be great if you could send in a voice message and you can leave it totally anonymous and be part of the show. We've got one more episode this season. I hope to make it really exciting. I thank you all for your support. Thank you for listening. Remember, you can also support our show with a listener support link there. Or you can go over to, we are also Trumped Up Podcast. We're now on Patreon. You can go over there and we got a couple of membership things there. You can help support our show that way. You can share our page with other people. You can share our podcast with other people. Remember, our podcast can be heard across several different podcasting platforms, including our hosting platform, Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You can also go to Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and I'm not sure if that's all of them, but tune in next Thursday for another exciting episode of the Trumped Up Podcast. I'm Keith Rao, and I am out.